Hi guys, it's Ashley and welcome back to my channel. Okay, so one of my big goals for 2023 was to read 15 books. Now, is that a lot? I don't know. For me, it is. And especially like getting back into reading and trying to work a full-time job and keep up with all my other hobbies, it definitely was a challenge. But I did make it this year. I did read more than 15 books actually. So I was very proud of myself about that, but I thought it'd be fun to do like a reading wrap up and just talk about all of the books and see what I rated each of them, if I liked them, if I didn't. I think it's just fun too, just to see what type of books that I liked versus what type of books that I didn't, or like what I thought I would like and what I didn't. But yeah, I just thought it would be fun to go over them for 2023, and let's start. Okay, so also, I did have a story on my Instagram dedicated to reading, and I rated each book based on like spice, if they were spicy books, and how many stars I gave it out of a rating of 5. I don't remember exactly what I rated each book, so I'm probably just going to do it based off of memory right now and see how I'm feeling about the book at the end of the year, because some of these I read in like January, so obviously I don't know if I'm going to feel about them like the exact same that I did in the past. Okay, anyway, let's start. Okay, so this is the Hopeless series. These were the first 5 books that I read this year. So there's Hopeless, Losing Hope, Finding Cinderella, All of Your Perfects, and Finding Perfect by Colleen Hoover. This is the Hopeless series. There's only 5 books in them, but honestly I would count it as 4 because the first 2, Hopeless and Losing Hope, are the same story, just in different perspectives. Hopeless is in Sky's perspective, and then Losing Hope is in Holder's perspective. It is kind of cute to see the different perspectives when reading the book, but if you choose to only read one because they are the same story, I would 100% recommend to read the Hopeless one instead of Losing Hope. But I mean, you might as well read all 5 of them since it's a series. The series that does not make any sense. Anyway, so in the Hopeless book, all the characters are in the first book, and then the series goes along to find or to have each character have their own story, which is kind of cute, and then the last book wraps everything up together. So the first book is Hopeless by Colleen Hoover. It follows Sky, who is a high school senior, and she meets this boy named Dean Holder. When she first meets him, she gets this uneasy feeling because he kind of has a bad reputation, but she also, or in seeing him, he brings up a weird memory from her past, and the story kind of unfolds from there. This is a cute little romance. I would check your trigger warnings before reading this book. There are a few things in here that definitely are worth checking the trigger warnings. I gave this book a 5 out of 5. This was the first book that I read this year, and the first book that I kind of read getting back into reading, I think, for the 2023 year. I 100% loved it. It had me guessing at every turn. It made me feel so connected to the characters. I just loved it so much. And yeah, so I really liked this one. Losing Hope, I'm not going to go over every single one in the series. I mean, if you really want to read it, you can. But Losing Hope, like I said, it's the same thing as the Hopeless. The stories are the same. Oh, that's the back. The stories are the same. It's just this one is in Sky's perspective and this one is in Holder's perspective. Then Finding Cinderella. This is a really small read. I think it's only like 130 pages, something like that. But this is so cute. This one follows 2 other friends that are in the book. Daniel and Six is her name. Their own cute little love story that kind of plays off of from the Hopeless first book. This is very cute. I actually really like this one too. I didn't give it a 5 out of 5. I think I gave it a 4 out of 5 just because it is, short, sweet, and to the point, but it is cute, worth the read. Okay, this one might be a little controversial because I feel like a lot of people really liked this book, the All of Your Perfects by Colleen Hoover. I did not like this book. This book did not do it for me. I think on my Instagram story when I rated it, it was a 2 out of 5. Thinking back about it now, thinking back about it, I probably would give it like a 1 out of 5, if that. It was too slow for me. I didn't like it. I just felt like the story was just being dragged along for 300 something pages. I did not like this. I don't really know what else to say about it. I didn't like, I don't know what else to say about it. Not a fan. And then Finding Perfect. This is really cute, much needed, I think. This one, again, is another short read. I think it's only like 100 pages. Yeah. So this kind of brings everybody back. That was in the first book and including All of Your Perfect as well. It brings everybody back. They're home for like college break and it ties everything together. It's just the perfect, like it has a little bow on it. Pretty much the present, the wrapping on what you needed for the series, basically. It's very cute. I think I gave it like a 3 out of 5. It's cute. It's what the series needed. I mean, it's not like, oh my God, like I love that. I love the ending, but it's cute. It's a perfect wrapping to the whole Hopeless series. So yeah, I definitely would recommend that series. Okay. Next. These are in no particular order too, because I don't remember the order that I read these in. We'll just keep on going with Colleen Hoover. So the next one is Verity. I feel like everybody loves this book. I have never seen anyone talk bad about it, to say that they hated it. This book is so good because it has you guessing the entire time. There's never a point where you're like, oh, I saw that coming. The whole time she has you guessing. It's so good. So this book is it follows Lowen. She is a writer that's kind of struggling, and then she finally gets a chance to write for a famous writer because she's kind of sick, but the husband is the one that gives her the chance, basically. And she takes a chance, starts writing the book for the other famous writer, and she kind of falls in love with the husband, and things kind of trickle on from there. But the family and the husband has secrets, and Lowen is living in their house, learning all of the secrets, and things kind of just unfold from there. This book is so good. If you've read this book, please comment whether you're team truth or manuscript. I'm just going to leave it at that. I don't want to spoil anything, but I just love this book. I gave this a 5 out of 5. I am a true stan for this book. This is probably the best book that Colleen Hoover has written. I know I said that I really liked the Hopeless one too, but this one, it just does it for me. Okay, this is the last book I think that I read by Colleen Hoover this year. Yeah. This one is It Starts With Us by Colleen Hoover, the novel that follows It Ends With Us. So this is the second book to the It Ends With Us series. It's a 2-book series. This one was okay for me. I think I gave it like a 3 out of 5. Spicy wise, it's like maybe a 1. I think there's only maybe like 1 or 2 scenes, and they're not really that like heavy or anything like that. This is very cute. I think that It Ends With Us is 100% better than It Starts With Us. I think that It Ends With Us could have been just like a novel, a one and done, and we kind of didn't need this. But if you like a happy ending, this kind of brings that. It kind of ties everything together, but it definitely like wasn't needed. Yeah. Okay, so that's it on the Colleen Hoover train. Then, so I did want to read one nonfiction book because I'm not really a big nonfiction stan, but so I actually bought this book probably years ago and have never read it, and then just decided since I needed more books to read throughout the year. This book is called 3 Women by Lisa Tato. I don't know how to say that, but whatever. So this book pretty much follows 3 women, and it talks about like their sexual lives. It follows, the names are changed obviously for like safety reasons for the people that she followed, but there are 3 different women that she talks about like their sexual history and how being a woman in the United States and sex is kind of like a controversial topic, and as a woman it's looked at differently. So Lisa Tedio follows 3 different women. One was a young girl who's in high school who falls in love with her teacher, and they have a romantic relationship while he's still married. The other one is an Indian woman who's older. She has 2 kids, and then she is falling in love with someone else while she's married to her husband. Her husband doesn't pay any attention to her and thinks that she is actually pretty gross. And then the third woman, who is also married, her husband likes to watch her seduce and have sex with other men, and she kind of feels a little awkward about it, but she does it because she loves him. So the book it's a pretty good book. Like, I actually enjoyed it. It's pretty fun to follow all 3 of the stories and just get different perspectives from 3 different women as a woman while reading this book. I rated it I think 3.5 out of 5, but because nonfiction isn't like my stand, it's not my favorite thing in the world, but I did enjoy it. It was a good book, and it but it let me look at the topic of women's sexuality a little bit different. So I actually kind of enjoyed it. Okay. Then there is Fourth Wing. I am going to tell you right now, I love this book with all my heart. This is my book of the year 2023 top read. I love it so much. This book is so good. When I tell you, I went back while I was reading it for the first time. I loved the writing in this book. I would go back after I read a chapter and read it again because I loved it so much, and I didn't want that specific part of the book to be over. So instead of moving on with the rest of the book to find out what else would happen, I would reread the chapter because I was like, I want that to happen again. I don't want to move past this part. That is how you know it's good writing. Also, too, like, I found this from recommendations on TikTok. I feel like everyone loved it. I actually haven't heard a bad thing about it. But anyway, the book is called Fourth Wing by Rebecca Yarros. It follows Violet, who goes to Basgath, I always say it wrong, Warrior College, and she has a reputation already before she even gets there because of her mother. She is supposed to avoid pretty much everyone at the college because they all want to kill her, and basically she's trying to survive her first year of War College and not trying to die. I don't want to give any spoilers, so we're just going to leave it pretty much at that. I love this book. I gave it a 6 out of 5. I don't know if that's like even legal, but loved it so much. 100% recommend. Also, this is the first book that I've read to get into fantasy. This is a romance fantasy type of book, but I'm trying to get more into fantasy, and this is the first book that I started to do that with. I am very happy with my choice. Actually, fun fact about me, I've never read ACOTAR either. I know, don't come for me, but it's on my to read list in 2024. But right now, this is it for me. I am actually currently reading Iron Flame, which is the second book to Fourth Wing. I'm not really going to go much into detail about that. You'll have to go to my Instagram to find out what I think about it at the end when I finish reading the book. Okay. Next, we have The Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo by Taylor Jenkins Reid. This book is very cute too. I actually really enjoyed this one. I don't want to spoil anything, so I'm trying my best to reread the back and not like ruin anything for anyone who hasn't read this book before and wants to. So basically, a writer who's unknown, named Monique Grant, gets the chance of a lifetime to follow an actor named Evelyn Hugo. She actually is very famous in the 1950s. She plays in a bunch of high-end movies and plays, but she's never publicly spoken about anything in her life about how she became famous, what happened throughout different movies, working with different people. She's never spoken about anything. And for some reason, she gives a chance to Monique Grant to write her life story or biography, basically. And that is all I'm going to say about this book because I don't want to give any spoilers. It is so good. It's so cute. Oh, I don't want to ruin anything for you, so I'm just going to leave it at that. I 100% recommend this book. It has a few spicy spots in it, not too many. Nothing really heavy. I think it's like a 2 out of 5, I think I would put it at. But for spiciness anyway, the rating for the book is a 5 out of 5. It's so good. I picked it up and could not put it down. I read this book not in one sitting, but every time I picked it up, I read probably like 100 something pages at a time. It's so good. It's so cute. I 100% recommend. Okay. This next book. I don't even know if I want to show it to you. Okay. I'm sorry if you can hear my little brother in the background screaming. He's so loud always. All right. This next book is A Little Life by, I don't even want to say her name because I always say it wrong. Hanneke. No, I'm not even gonna say it. I can't. I'll just show you and then, because I always say it wrong. But it's A Little Life. I feel like this is a big controversial book on TikTok as well, but I wanted to see what all of the hype was about because everyone said that they basically cried their eyes out while reading this book. First of all, if at all you decide that you want to read this book, I think you can kind of tell by the cover that it is really sad. And it is. Now, if you think you want to read this book, please, please, please check the trigger warnings. You need to. In this book, when you think that life is bad and you think it can't get any worse, it can, and this book is proof of that. It just gets, it's so dark, it's so heavy, and it took me a while to read it. You're definitely gonna have to take breaks because of how heavy the content is in this book. And it also is like 800 pages, so it is pretty long. This book follows 4 college classmates from New York. They went to school together and then they kind of drifted apart, but then kind of got back together, and they are in their little friend group going about their ways in New York. They go through addiction, success, pride, and a few other things, childhood trauma. They all talk about, work through together throughout the entire book. So it kind of starts after college, and then they grow up together through their 30s and 40s. Pretty much for like the rest of their lives is what this book kind of goes through. So I gave this book, I think, a 4 out of 5. It's a good book, but you can't go into it really with any type of expectation. It is really, really sad, and you have to take the time to really read and get to know each of the characters. You get really connected to them because of how well written and descriptive the author is about each of them within the book. But again, it is a really, really heavy and sad book. So if you don't want to cry your eyes out, this book is not going to be for you. But I do recommend, please, 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 if you decide to read this, check the trigger warnings. I'm telling you, the content here is so heavy. I cannot stress that enough. But it is an overall good book. Okay. So the next 3 books were all on my Kindle. They're all by Frida McFadden. I read the Housemaid series. There's 2 books in there. in that series. One is called The Housemaid, and I think the next one is called The Housemaid's Tale. Let me look, hold on. And then the other book that I read by Frida McFadden was The Inmate. Okay, so the Housemaid series is called The Housemaid and The Housemaid's Secret. So The Housemaid, I actually really liked both of those books. The Housemaid is about a housemaid or a woman named Millie, who is recently released from prison, and she becomes a housemaid for the Winchester family, only to find out that the Winchesters are not who they say that they are. It's a cute little book. All of Frida McFadden's books are thrillers, and I thoroughly enjoyed them. So she did not disappoint. I was guessing the entire time with The Housemaid, the first book. I was guessing the whole time. I never was able to predict what was going to happen next. It was very entertaining. It is exactly what it's thought out to be. It's a thriller. I mean, I really enjoyed it. I gave it a 4.5 out of 5 just because I didn't like the ending. I was not a fan of how it ended. But other than that, it was a really good book. And then the second book in the Housemaid series is called The Housemaid's Secret. Basically, the housemaid, again, Millie, goes to another house she's recommended by a friend from the Winchesters, and she goes to work for the Garrick family, and she's the perfect housemaid. She cooks, she cleans, until she learns the secret of Wendy Garrick that she's hiding in her own house. So this one again is another thriller. I actually really enjoyed it. This one I feel like was a little bit more predictable than the first one, but I still really enjoyed it. It was good. That's all I really have to say about it. I gave that one a 5 out of 5 too. But actually, I don't know. I think thinking about it now, it kind of deserves a 4 out of 5 because, like I said, I was able to predict kind of what happened. Except for maybe at the end. The ending to the second book, The Housemaid's Secret, was definitely better than the ending to The Housemaid, because I was able to predict the ending to The Housemaid, but not The Housemaid's Secret. So I guess they differ a little bit there. And then the third book, The Inmate by Frida McFadden. Okay, I thought that I was gonna love every single one of Frida McFadden's book, and I was so sad because I had heard so many good things about The Inmate, and I was so excited to read it because I like true crime type of stuff. So I was like, oh, a book called The Inmate, like it's gonna have to do with jail, prison, stuff like that. I did not like this book at all. I gave it a 2.75 out of 5. There's not really any spicy moments about it, but I didn't like it because I was able to predict what was going to happen next throughout the entire story. Like, nothing shocked me. I knew the entire time what was going to happen, but I did push through and read the book. But I mean, it was okay. I'm not really a fan. I don't know how anyone else felt about it. I think I just picked it up because I saw it was by Frida McFadden and I liked her first 2 books that I read, so I thought I was going to like this one, but I was not a fan. Anyway, The Inmate again is by Frida McFadden, and it's about a nurse practitioner named Brooke who starts working at a prison, but she helped put a certain inmate into the prison away for life, and now she's working in that prison. She pretty much finds out that her past comes back to haunt her in her current job. Yeah, I'm not a fan of this book. Okay, next. Alright, so I also read The Fine Print by Lauren Asher. I have never read a Lauren Asher book before. I actually really enjoyed this one. This is the first book in the Billionaire series. I think that's what it's called. Or no, the Dreamland Billionaire series. That's the whole thing. So this is the first one. I have not read the second 2 yet, but it's on my TBR list. This book follows Rowan and Zara. It's a romance book. Pretty much, Rowan is a businessman who his family owns a theme park, and he kind of has to renovate the theme park. Zara is a woman who works at the theme park, and it's a romance book. I mean, I'm sure you can figure out what kind of happens from there, but This one's pretty good. I actually really enjoyed it. It wasn't predictable at all. I think I gave it like a 4 out of 5. It's a cute little book. Definitely very spicy. There's hot and heavy moments in this book. So if you're looking for some spice, 100% pick up this one. It's not too heavy. I think I gave it like a 3 out of 5. But there's some spicy moments. It's cute. A happy ending. I liked it. It made me smile. That's all I have to say about this book. All right. King of Wrath by Anna Hung. Hang? I don't know. This is the same woman who wrote the... Oh gosh, I can't remember what the series is called, but... The Twisted series, that's who it is. She also wrote this book. I think this book is also part of a series. Yeah, it's called the Kings of Sin series. I don't know, this book was cute. It was kind of slow for me, but I did like it. I gave it a 3.5 out of 5. There are some hot and heavy moments in this book too. I think I rated them like a 3.5 out of 5 as well. It is a romance, and this book follows billionaire CEO Dante Russo, who thrives under control and being both personal and professional. Pretty much he gets blackmailed by a man who happens to be Vivian Law's dad. He blackmails Dante into marrying his daughter, and I mean, like I said, it's a love story or a romance. I'm sure you can figure out what happens then. There's some good parts, bad parts, there's ups and downs. You definitely get connected to the characters. It's a very cute story. It does have a happy ending. If you want a heart-filled, warm, loving, spicy book, I 100% would recommend this one. This one is also part of a series that, yeah, I have already said that. The Kings of Sin series. I haven't read any of the other books in this series, but I think I'm going to go and give them a try. This one was cute enough that I definitely would. And the last book that I'm going to talk about is called The Grace Year. So this book I also saw on TikTok, and I was actually really excited to read it. It also let me down, and I'm sorry for saying that. I just wasn't a big fan of it. I don't know. I wasn't a fan of it. So I gave it a 2.75 out of 5. There's no spiciness in it. It is a fantasy book and it's a novel. There's no following books to it or anything like that. But so The Grace Year is by Kim Liggett, and it follows Tyranny as she lives in a country that is directly led by the church. And the Grace Year is a forbidden year to ever be talked about. No one knows what happens or what's going to happen to it except for the mothers, and the mothers can't say anything to their daughters about it. It's part of the country rules, and when the girls turn 16, they all go together on their Grace Year. It's 1 year away from the country, and it's to get rid of their magic. So my review on the book, I don't really remember 100% what this book was about, but I do remember that I was quite like confused throughout the majority of the book. What did I say? I said that this book was okay for me, and that I heard a lot of people really loved it. I just wasn't that big of a fan. I think that there are a lot of things in the book that weren't super complete or explained at the end. I was left with a bunch of questions, I feel like. I also feel like that there were certain parts of the book that were dragged out, and it made it really hard to read, so it was kind of slow and boring for me. I just wasn't really a fan of like how the book was written, but it definitely is it's a cute little fantasy. Like, it has some good parts in it, but I just think it just wasn't for me. I just don't think that I was meant to read that book, but it was okay. I gave it a 2.75 out of 5. And yeah. Okay, so those are the 15 books that I
read this year to complete my goal. I actually am really proud of myself that I actually read the 15 books because, again, I do have a full-time job and I work, but I did, complete that. So I think I'm going to try and do the same thing for next year and, really try to expand my reading realm. I hope you liked my reading wrap-up of 2023. Please let me know any book recommendations that you have. I'm always looking for certain recommendations, or really of any kind. I'm trying to get more into fantasy, so any recommendations you have for that, I would really love. And thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye!